And welcome to the return of the 10 Count. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Dave Smith, the sports guide and the editor-in-chief of Ring TV, Doug Fischer. Gentlemen, we have a resolution from the WBC. I think we have a time frame at least.
Okay.
The WBC has ruled that Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez can each take an interim fight by May. By the end of May, they must commence negotiations, and barring an agreement being reached, then they go to purse bid. So, Doug, do you take that as a positive step that we might have this fight in the second half of 2016?
I do. Yeah, I do. And maybe I'm being swayed by the press release that the WB sent out with Mauricio Suleiman, the honorable president of the WBC, holding a piece of paper with Tom Loeffler of K2 Promotions and Eric Gomez of Golden Boy Promotions. I think it is good that a representative from Golden Boy Promotions and a representative from K2, which represents Triple G, are actually in the same room and talking. And I believe that there was some correspondence between those two organizations even before this resolution from the WBC. And I think everybody involved agrees that it's a huge fight if it can be made. And it's okay maybe to build it up a little bit. And I think that K2 understands from Team Canelo's side and Golden Boy Promotions side, it probably is best for them if the 25-year-old Mexican star has one fight to really fill out into 160 pounds. Fight as a real middleweight for the first time. Obviously, he won the WBC title and the Ring Magazine's recognition as the middleweight champ, but he fought a junior middleweight, a 35-year-old junior middleweight, and he had to come in at 155 pounds for that fight.
Dave, how much do you put into the stock the term good faith as it relates to the sport and the business of boxing?
Yeah, good faith and boxing don't go together. And I would imagine there's a lot of money to be lost here if one of these guys gets upset. So I would imagine you're going to be fighting Triple G and I'm fighting Canelo, probably.
Well, can you make
they can't risk a loss.
Can you make 155 pounds?
That's the whole thing. Dave, I can make 160 with one leg. Here's the issue. I believe that they've been talking for a while. That's what I was led to believe. I think the monetary split, I think K2, Tom Loeffler's always been reasonable. We know Tom very well. They know they're probably going to get a 35-65 split. Dave, I think the other issue, though, is the catch weight. I still have a feeling that Gennady Golovkin, regardless of what he says, I think he's going to have to bend on the catch weight. I don't think it's going to be at a full-fledged 160.
Don't we already have catch weights? They're called super and junior divisions, right? Now we need more? There's already too many divisions. And now, Doug, do you think...
Well, they're calling this the Canelo weight now.
Is this Canelo's way of maybe getting out of the fight, saying it has to be 55? What if Triple G said, I'm the middleweight champion, come to 160? Would Canelo say then there's no fight? Or does Triple G lose too much money and he has to lose weight?
Well, I think Tom Loeffler has said in the past, and maybe we need to do a little bit of research, that if a fight does go to purse bid, that you're not allowed to do catch weights.
Not allowed to. But remember, though, Canelo's one of the, I'd say, 5 fighters in the world that could take a belt, take it off their waist, and say, you know what, this does not affect me.
Yes, he is bigger than sanctioning organizations.
But the question is this: Canelo Alvarez is Mexican, and we've heard this from Mexican fighters and pundits. That BC belt, that green strap, is important to them. That's like the most valuable belt.
Right.
What is the effect? What is the damage done to Canelo from a perception standpoint if he basically avoids the fight and vacates the WBC belt?
I think he loses a lot of Mexican fans. He loses most of his hardcore following. Obviously, there'll be casual fans who have, come to love the freckle-faced kid, and maybe those are the people who are buying tickets to see him. So maybe it doesn't hurt his box office, but I definitely know that it would severely damage his credibility within the sport, his cred, so to speak. And I'll say this, and I don't know if people agree with me, I think it damages him physically if he continues to make 155 pounds, because I believe at this point of his career, he's been a pro for 10 years, Dave, and he's 25. His body is filling out. I think he is a full-bodied middleweight right now. He may not realize it, but I think if he comes in at 155 for this interim bout, for this voluntary defense of the WBC belt, I bet you he struggles like hell, and I bet you he he thinks about it real hard if he wants to try to make 155 pounds himself for a Triple G fight.
You know, Triple G is so popular now with the pay-per-view sales, and in the Mexican community, he's huge. He's learning how to speak Spanish. And what if he says 160 or there's no fight?
Well,
who's got more juice going in here, Canelo or Triple G?
No, Canelo does. 'Cause we have to be realistic. Golovkin has made great strides in 3 years, but the pay-per-view with David Lemieux did anywhere between 150 to 100,000 buys, depending on who your source is. The Cotto-Canelo fight did almost 1 million, according to some sources, probably maybe the lower part, maybe 750. One guy can sell about 20,000 tickets in New York. The other guy sold 30,000 tickets in Texas. Now, again, prices are different. There are variables. But I think even Tom Loeffler would admit they are the B-side. So that's the downpour. If you want the belt, but if you want it on your terms, Dave, wouldn't you much rather face Canelo in that payday than to pick it up from a garbage can?
And do you think, is this a little bit of wiggle room here? Could it be 157 by the time they get into a room together?
Absolutely.
Is Canelo going to be firm at 55? Or could it be 57,
no,
58
I mean,
maybe?
55 is not even something that I think is being tossed around between the promotional companies. That 55 figure comes from the fact that that's the weight Canelo has fought at since the Mayweather fight. He's either fought at 155 or 154 and a half, I believe, for James Kirkland.
Didn't Floyd bring him down to 52?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that hurt him.
Yeah.
That hurt his
But that was
body.
2
And
years ago.
and that was exactly. But at that time, he was a junior middleweight. That was 22-year-old Canelo Alvarez. I believe 25-year-old Alvarez is a middleweight. And I actually think he's grown since the beginning of this year, Dave.
So, in wrapping it up, yes or no, will we see this fight September 17th, 2016?
I think yes.
Dave?
Absolutely, yes.
Boy, we are hopeless
Public
romantics.
demands it.
We are hopeless romantics. I'm going to go with the yes, too. And if they don't make the fight, let the derision begin. Well, that's it for this edition of 10 Count. On behalf of Doug Fischer and Dave Smith, this is Steve Kim saying till the next round, goodbye, everybody.